made it to season 2, pal.
I know. I can tell you, I need a tan. In this episode, Big Pussy has a tan. I need a tan.
When does Bacala make his grand
episode 2
appearance?
Next one.
His coming out party is the next episode. Well, that's going to be.
And then this episode, there's a lot of new characters they introduced.
A lot of new characters.
It's getting bigger. The show's getting much bigger.
Yeah.
As you could see, many new characters, and there's more to come. But I enjoyed it immensely. It was good. Season 2, people seem to be really liking us. You people, thank you out there for listening in and listening to my bullshit. And I hope you're enjoying it. Now, before we get into this, I was thinking, like I've had a whole lot of jobs in my life before I was an actor, What about you? Well,
this episode is the beginning of your transition out of your former life and into your life as an actor full time, and that's it, pretty much, right? Next episode.
The next episode, yeah. But I've had, even as a kid back in Brooklyn, my family had no money. I grew up on welfare. My father didn't work for 30 years. He sat on the couch, But I had all kinds of jobs. Off the wall stuff. There was a place, Fuffy's Pancake House. And we were like 14. We all would hang around in front of it. It got burnt down, and we were hanging around. We would go in there, steal stuff, blah, blah, blah. There's about 10 of us in front, and a guy comes up, and we had heard it was going to be an Umberto's Clam House, the infamous Umberto's, which was run by
Little Italy. Yeah.
Little Italy, where they killed Joe Gallo. And they show it in The Irishman. But that was the one in Little Italy. Now they opened one in Brooklyn, which was right down the block from where I grew up. And we were hanging around, getting into trouble, being stupid. And one day a guy comes up and he says, well, what are you fucking kids doing here? And, blah, blah, blah. And he pulls out a wad, like a big wad of money, and gives me $100. He said, why don't you get off the corner and go to the movies? And I said, listen, we don't, I don't want the $100. Just give me a job when you open. And he gave me a job, and he was Joe Iannello, who was Matty the Horse. You could look him up. One of the biggest mob guys ever. A nice guy, to me anyway. And Matty the Horse's brothers, there was a bunch of brothers, they owned Umberto's. And I worked at Umberto's Clam House for quite a while when I was in high school.
In Brooklyn?
That was one of, in Brooklyn. That was one of many jobs. I was a clam opener. I used to be really good opening the clams, opening oysters, opening clams.
Are you still good at opening clams?
It's hard. I've done it. I could still do it without killing the clam. It's a whole science to it. But I was fast. Right. Like them guys, when you're at a clam bar and they open them and you squeeze
did that?
them.
You were like that?
I was like that.
All right. Clams have beards, don't they?
I don't know. Do they?
That's what they call those like seaweed-like attachments to clams. A beard.
You sure?
I think.
I thought that has another indication.
I think it does as well, but I think they also have feet, clams.
Really? Well, I ate the feet and everything. It was one for them, one for me. I also, in college, I was a chimney sweep.
You mentioned that, yes.
I was a chimney sweep.
Did you wear a top hat?
No, I didn't go there. I had a one-piece, though, like that zipped up. And
leotard?
I wore a one-piece. No, yeah, I went around with a fucking leotard. I went to your house like Peter Pan. Peter Pan, that's what I was. Ding dong, it's Peter Pan. No, I wore just like coveralls, and I had usually a friend with me, and I did them mostly on the weekends because I was in college during the week. I made a lot of money. I made commission. $8 for like a chimney, $9 a boiler, whatever it was. Then we did a lot of rich people houses in Manhattan. That was all new to me. We went to Brooklyn Heights, Manhattan. So as we're cleaning the chimney, one of us would like kind of open the drawers and see what was happening. These people's drawers in their houses. No one was home usually.
You didn't take stuff, did you?
You know, I took weed, and I wasn't a weed guy. I would give it to my friends. I was never a weed smoker. But I'm thinking they can't call the cops about weed. You know, I remember a couple of times we found big bags of weed. We found vibrators. We would make a sandwich.
You didn't take the vibrator. That's personal.
No, I didn't take the. I didn't take the vibrator.
Unless it was wrapped in its original packaging, maybe.
Yes, I didn't take it. No, I wasn't a thief. I wasn't going around stealing. The weed, I figured, listen, it wasn't for me. I gave it to my friends a few times. You find it once in a while. I wasn't a thief, except for that. We also would make a sandwich. You know, we'd make a sandwich, Then I worked for Wise Guys in the Garment District. One night they pulled up on the corner on Bath Avenue where I'm from, and they would say, "You guys want to work tomorrow?" Doing what? There was a strike going on, and people were stealing the clothes. So one of us were in the front, one in the back as the workers pushed those carts along 7th Avenue with all the racks of clothes. They paid us like $75 a day, which was an enormous amount of money back then. And I did that for a little while, and then till it was settled. You know, and then, of course, in Vegas, I delivered pizza when I first got there, and then I was a bouncer, and you know.
Yeah. Did you, when you were guarding the clothes, did you have to fight anybody off?
No. Never happened. That would have been ugly. It wouldn't have been worth the $75.
You weren't packing, were you?
No, not at all. But it was like, you know, I was, you know, big guy, not like this. You know, I was in good shape then in college. And there was one of us in the front, one in the back, and I think two guys kind of pushing it. So there was four of us, and we just had to stand behind them as they did it. It was a very odd, you know, these guys just pulled up in the corner. You know, obviously, Wise Guys are connected to something. They hey, you guys want to make some money? Yeah, what do I got to do? Tomorrow, I think it was 7 o'clock, be on, you know, in Midtown. And I did that. And then I had all kinds of jobs. I mean, I worked at the basketball camps, and then I did another job for Joe Iannello. I put a microphone. I had a '69 Javelin, AMC Javelin car, and I put a big megaphone on top, and I had the thing. You remember, like the elections in the old days?
Yeah.
Vote for. Well, this was Alan Dale. He was a singer. Vote for Alan Dale at the Walker Theater Monday night.
And you had to talk. You had to say all that stuff.
Yes, it's my first.
So what? It was a mob-backed candidate.
Yes, a mob-backed singer. They were producing the show.
Oh,
the Walker Theater is in Brooklyn. He was singing, and I would say, "Meet Allendale Saturday night." You know, whatever the date was. It was 1979, I think. Allendale, ladies and gentlemen, and we would just drive slowly down the streets, back and forth, every day for months. The Allendale Show. What about you?
I mostly worked in the restaurant business, you know, from when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, all guys in my neighborhood got jobs at this wedding hall called Alex and Henry's. That was in the Bronx and in Eastchester. We worked mostly. We worked in Eastchester. Once in a while, they'd ship us to the Bronx location to work.
Nice place.
Yeah, it was an Italian wedding place, but they'd have big small weddings, but also big weddings with like 500 people. You know, once in a while you'd have Wise Guy weddings. It was a lot of fun because all my friends worked there, you know, and then we'd all go out. We'd go to clubs after, or sometimes we'd go to the city, the discos, or nearby, the Bronx or Westchester. You know, if it was late, we'd all go to the diner. It was a lot of fun. It was a little bit, you know, everybody was...
Wise Guys tip good.
Wise Guys tip good, yeah. Wise Guys tip good. I mean, that was a good gig. And then I got a job at Forlini's, which is technically in Chinatown. It's the border of Italy, Chinatown, but it was below Canal, and it was not a Wise Guy restaurant. It was cops, judges, lawyers, detectives, DA.
It's still there.
Morgenthau, yeah, he was there all the time. Giuliani used to go there when he was, you know, before he was mayor. The whole police department, it's still there. It's still doing really well. I was there as a busboy. I was a cook, which was very hard because I didn't know how to cook. And it was a chili restaurant, so chili was very easy. You make hamburgers, chili. And one day, my friend asked me to cover brunch. So I never worked brunch. I didn't know how to cook eggs or omelets or anything. He's like, oh, no, it's really easy. You crack the egg. He showed me a little bit. I'm like, okay, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Saturday morning, I go to do brunch. And brunch, everybody comes at the same time. So immediately the place is full. I've got like 9 tickets, and it's all eggs and omelets and pancakes. And I'm like Lucy with the chocolates,
Oh, man.
I couldn't keep up. The manager, horrible. The manager is back there helping me. I'm threatening to walk. I'm like, I'm just going to walk out of here. I don't care who. I'm sending out broken, sunny side up eggs, broken omelets that look like, vomit. I mean, it seemed like I was there for 3 days. Those 3 hours of brunch was terrible. But I worked in a lot of restaurants. My early 20s, in the 80s, I was making a lot of money in restaurants. like between 100 and 200 a night, cash.
That was a lot of money then, sure.
Yeah, for 21 years old, you go. You're making $600-700 a week. That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Cash money. I moved furniture for a while. I hung lights at La Mama off Broadway Theater in the East Village. The worst job I ever had was market research, where you'd have to cold call people and get them to do surveys about products. And the only way you would get paid is if you kept them on the phone for like a half an hour.
Oh.
Like one survey was about liqueurs. Like you had to, now tell me, which liqueurs do you drink on a regular basis? Cream de menthe. Often, not at all. Amaretto, and people didn't want to. The only people who wanted to stay on for a half an hour just wanted to really talk to you.
Yeah.
About their life because they were lonely. And there were guys in the other cubicle crying, begging people to stay on the line with them because otherwise
That's hilarious.
It was a terrible job. Worst job I ever had.
And so mostly the restaurant business, and you did well. You never did a 9-to-5er besides like the marketing.
Was a messenger. I did that in the daytime. Yeah, foot messenger, not a bike in Manhattan.
So you had a lot of jobs too.
A ton, yeah. Foot messenger was kind of a fun job, wandering around the city. Unless it rained, it was freezing cold.
Yeah.
But in the nice weather, because mostly at my route was Midtown, like from 59th to 42nd, from West Side to like 3rd Avenue, which is a lot to cover on foot. Or take the bus cross town because you're going cross town
but
a lot.
You're out of the office a lot. You kill time. You walk around.
Nice. You learn the city. Yeah.
That's all right.
It was a good game.
When I did the chimneys, I cleaned Jim Henson's townhouse. I cleaned his chimney.
In Manhattan?
In Manhattan.
Were there Muppets all over the place?
No, because if there was a Muppet, and I'm not joking, I said then I would snatch one. I would snatch a Muppet and put it in, because they were like big tins, where you vacuum the thing, but not a Muppet to be had. You would have never known it was Jim Henson's. And Kitty Carlisle. I cleaned her fireplaces. Remember her? We're going way back.
Wow.
Kitty Carlisle. Wow. I think she was married to Morse Hart, if I'm not mistaken.
Kitty Carlisle.
She was
on
Broadway.
Like To Tell the Truth or something.
Oh, yeah, but before that, high society Broadway dame, Yeah. It's funny. I had a whole bunch of other ones. Basketball camps. Of course, I worked for Paul Anka as a bouncer in his club. I met a lot of celebrities there, and all that shit. But, hey, acting's the best job I ever had. I guess I would assume you also.
It's much better than the alternatives. Let's put it that way.
You could have been in a cubicle.
Speaking of acting, I could have been in a cubicle. That was the worst. Season 2 of The Sopranos. This first episode aired January 2000, and now the show is a hit. I remember getting on the subway around the holidays because it was a few weeks before the premiere, and I sat across from this big picture of myself. They did individual ads of the characters. It was a little bit freaky. That was a big, the show was a hit. The ads on the subways, people were talking about it. And I really feel this episode lived up to that, like coming back out of this big success and reintroducing the show. Like I think it really did succeed at that. And we had were you at the season 2 premiere?
Yeah.
And what was it? The Ziegfeld?
At the Ziegfeld. Yeah, I was
because
invited
the first
to that.
season premiere was at a theater in Times Square, movie theater that used to be on 44th and Broadway, and then we had the after party at John's Pizza in Times Square. Now the show's a hit. We have the premiere at the Ziegfeld, which was at the time the best movie theater in Manhattan, if not in the world. I mean, it was a huge. I went there as a kid. It was a huge single screen theater, and I think the party was at. Where was the party?
I forget where the party
Center,
was.
maybe the Sea Grill or
No,
Rockefeller.
it wasn't at Rockefeller Center. It wasn't that up there yet. That was, I think, a little later on. It wasn't there yet. But I remember they did invite me. Me and my wife went. I didn't know a whole lot of people. I knew some who I worked with, Jim and Tony and a few people, but everybody was doing their thing. Now, the first time someone recognized you, you remember that moment?
From The Sopranos or in general?
Well, no, because they knew you from Spider, a lot of people.
Yeah, people started recognizing me then.
Spider.
After that. I don't remember the first time that happened.
Sopranos, yeah. So this was a guy walks into a psychiatrist's office.
Which is the beginning of a joke. A classic old Borscht Belt joke, right? Guy walks into a psychiatrist's office and says,
January 16th, 2000. They introduce a lot of new characters, as we'll talk about as we go along. Jason Cahill, this was his third and last episode he wrote. Alan Coulter, who was with us the whole way, terrific guy, terrific actor, even pops up in a little cameo here.
Does he? I didn't even notice that.
When we get to it, it's a scene, he's walking into the motel to talk to Melfi.
Oh, okay.
This was Kathy Scorsese was a prop girl. This was
art department props.
Yeah, she was great. I haven't seen her in a long time. I got a text from Aida right before we started this. Aida Totoro, she wants to do the show. And I told her I'll give her a call tomorrow. So we'll be seeing the great Aida, who we see Janice for the first time. The wonderful and evil Janice.
Yeah.
What a character.
I mean, she comes in and immediately just causes chaos. It's just like she's like a
evil.
Whirlwind.
The devil. Okay. We open up the stockbroker training center. They're taking the test. What do they call it? The class 7, I think. And
he's going to test to be the compliance officers for the Securities and Exchange Commission to do.
And it is, as they they go alphabetical order, it is an Asian guy who is Christopher Moltisanti.
He was not Christopher Moltisanti. It wasn't a coincidence. He's posing as Christopher. There's no way Christopher was going to, A, put in the time to study for that test, and B, pass it. Either one.
It's very difficult. I think even people that study for a long time, it's class 7. Right. It's a hard test to become a stockbroker. It's a Series 7 exam.
Right.
So it's hard, it's even guys that went to school and they got to pass this test, it's very difficult. So then there's the great montage.
Which is phenomenal and a really incredible way to show, A, the passage of time and reintroduce the characters, bring everybody back up to speed. Very good year, Frank Sinatra.
Great
song. It was a very good year for the show in a weird way, on one level, right? And a very good year for the characters and for us.
Well,
as actors.
Tony was, he was the boss again. I mean, everybody did okay. Everything's back in order. You see AJ's grown up. He cares about his appearance. He's no longer the chubby little kid.
He's looking different. And the kids, kids grow up faster, obviously, going through changes. And even Jamie Lynn is more mature in this episode.
It's great. It starts with Livia, of course, in the hospital. And Tony's playing solitaire at the bada bing. And they deliver the money with Tony. Paulie Walnuts is there. Carmela cooks. You see her twice in this montage. Kind of just a humdrum. She was a real housewife before they were real housewives.
I think that show in some ways was...
Oh, of course, it absolutely was. And I would assume Jersey Shore also.
Was the first Real Housewives in New Jersey? The first?
No, it was in Orange County. Orange County, Real Housewives, but that was way later on.
Right. But this montage really establishes there's an epic feeling to the characters. Even though it was just one season we've been through with them, coming back like this, it's almost like everything's larger than life in a way. I mean, in terms of how the success of the show affected the audience's relationship to the characters is what I'm trying to say. It's really fantastically done, this montage.
Well, listen, the people at this point were really waiting for this next season.
Right.
They fell in love with the show. HBO played it constantly. The word of mouth really, between seasons, really hit a frenzy. People were waiting in much anticipation for this season too. You see AJ, you see Junior, he's in prison. AJ comes in here, Paulie's having sex with a stripper.
So Silvio is actually buying wingtips. I don't know if that's a subliminal reference to Tony's hair, the wings.
It could very well be.
Mugs, Lauren will call. But he's doing heroin, and it's throughout this episode, he's dealing with the effects of dabbling with heroin, without a doubt. Yeah.
This is the first time we really see that, right?
Yeah, so obviously in the time between the seasons here, his drug habit has progressed.
And what is that? What is it that you're snorting there? What's it taste like?
I don't remember. Probably inositol, that baby laxative thing.
Gee, so you got to wear a diaper. You're taking a shit? You got a shit?
I never wore diapers, but I would eat light on those days.
Like a porn star.
Like a porn star? Is that what they do?
Of course. They have to do enemas, and porn stars got to do that to prepare.
Of course.
It's all part of
course.
Preparation. You don't know that? Come on, what's wrong with you?
My imagination never took me that far, but I guess obviously they do.
It's not my imagination. I happen to know that on the set they'll eat light and then enemas and
Were you on the set?
I don't want to get vulgar.
But were you on the set?
I have been in years past. A friend of mine owns a big company, and I have just for purposes of knowledge purposes. I didn't enjoy watching it. I just,
well, nobody does.
Yeah. So Tony's teaching Meadow how to drive. Tony has sex with Irina. He sneaks home. He smells his clothes. He puts the clothes in the wash. He gets into bed with Carmela. This is a moment where she turns over. They stare at each other, and then she turns back.
Yeah, it's a very big moment because it resonates throughout this episode, and it really connects to the end of this episode. Where are they at? She obviously knows what he's doing on some level, whether she wants to admit it to herself or not. And he's conflicted about that. He's not going to stop what he's doing, but obviously
feels a little guilty for sure.
Absolutely.
Then the Soprano driveway. He's going to get his newspaper in the cul-de-sac, and there's a car out front. He's very leery, and of course it's Big Pussy. How long has Big Pussy been gone? What do you think?
I think
no one
maybe
says the number.
8 or 9 months, is it? 6 months, 8
That's
months?
a long time.
It's quite a bit. And also, we set up that the big threats to Tony in season 1, like Uncle Junior, Mikey Palmici, and Livia to some degree, they're kind of on ice for now. Well, it's Mikey permanently, but Livia and Junior. So right in this scene, we bring the tension back. He's afraid. It's Pussy. Is he a rat? Is he not a rat? And trying to, immediately there's another threat that's existing to Tony, which is important to bring in right at the top of the season, I think.
Yeah, it's funny. Pussy's telling a killer. They're both killers. And Pussy's telling him, do I have your word? If I go in your house, I'm going to come back out. Yes, Scout's honor. You know what I mean? It's really, it's a little ironic there. Like, do I have your word? Swear to me that I'm going to come back out. So they're in the Soprano kitchen. They're talking. there was a rat. You finger me. My friends turned on me. You think I don't know what you're doing? You came 3 in the afternoon. You come to my house,
3 o'clock once again.
and you're still not going to tell me what that's about.
We'll talk about that at some
Okay.
point later. But he's kind of arrogant in this scene, pussy.
Oh
pussy,
yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah.
like he's the one who has been wronged almost.
He's on the offense for sure, and
Yeah.
he's saying, "That's when I knew I was in trouble, Anthony." That shows the longtime friends. They go back a long time. I think they were childhood friends. Calls him Anthony, and then he says, "You got a tan." Blah blah blah. So, one thing. Stop with that jokey shit. He's very arrogant, and I think that's all part of the plan. Probably the FBI. I guess we don't. The FBI probably at this point has groomed him to say, "Hey."
Oh yeah. So
this is-
what do you think has happened? He's been. Where do you think? Where does it? Later on, I guess it's revealed where he's been. He's with the FBI, and he's.
Who knows? Maybe he's in Vegas. I believe he's with the FBI. He's been talked to. He's groomed. I think all of the above. Maybe he was in Puerto Rico. Maybe he was. Maybe.
Well,
he was
that does
talking
check
to the-
out, like Paulie Walnut says later on, and Vinny's acting in this episode.
Yeah.
Is fantastic.
He's
This
great. These
scene
are great
in the
scenes.
basement,
Great scenes.
Yeah, really well done.
This scene in the basement, they continue to talk. Tony's saying, "Who's your fucking boss?" Tony's pissed. It was abroad. I was in Puerto Rico. She's 26, an acupuncturist. You didn't tell nothing. You couldn't let me know somehow, some way that you were there. Tony's very reluctant to believe anything he's saying,
Very reluctant, but you do see that conflict. That here's a guy that he does love. Or
He
did
wants
love,
to
like,
believe.
He wants to believe, even when he goes in for the hug to pat him down. There's a part of him that does want to hug him, that wants to turn the clock back before any of these suspicions came. He really, it's a great element of Tony Soprano, and Jim, is brilliant how he plays those things, those conflicting emotions.
They're both pissed off at each other. They're just pissed in general. He hits pussy a few times. I don't know if you notice it in the back, like little swats. Did you notice that? Like when they're arguing. Tony wants to know, why'd you come home? Why'd you come back now? He needs the money, his kids. He's taking Percocets like juju beads, which it's a candy. I don't know if people, juju beans. I don't know if people know what that is everywhere. That's a kind of candy. It's hard to even explain what it is.
It's like Good and Plenty or something like that. Like
no, not really. It's it's hard to explain, but it was popular at one point. I don't know anymore. And he's saying you guys, Paulie, you're taking the word of a degenerate cop over me. So he's playing that. He's pissed that everyone turned on him. You're supposed to be my friends. I was supposed to reach out to you and tell you where I was. You're going to kill me. So that's what this is all about.
And he's flat out lying.
Flat out lying. Tony pushes him away. Don't ever try that shit again. He's not Wyatt at this point. Tony, checked his back up and down. And Big Pussy pushes him away. Think I don't know what you're doing? He says, grab this. Soprano living room. Tony and Pussy talk. So your uncle's under indictment. Who stepped in to run his crew? His piss boy, Philly Parisi. Philly Parisi is played by Dan Grimaldi. He is one of only 3 characters. He comes back as his brother Patsy in a later episode.
And Philly's in a dream sequence later on, too.
You've got Dan Grimaldi.
Philly comes back, Dan Grimaldi comes back as Patsy. So Philly and Patsy are twins. I knew Dan before I even knew him. When I was a teenager, me and my friends we'd like to watch horror movies, when we were like 13, 14. And there was one, I'll never forget it. We were watching at my buddy's house, Sal's house. Don't Go in the Basement. That was the name of the movie. Don't Go in the Basement. And I remember it was starring Dan Grimaldi. And we all were like, we never heard of him. It was way before this or anything like that. But the name always stuck in it was a horrible, really cheap, low-budget horror movie, just terrible. One of those bad ones. And, it was, we like to watch scary movies, but this wasn't scary and it was horrible. But So I knew him, and then the first professional acting gig I ever had was a play, and he played my father.
Oh, so were you like all nervous around him? This is a big star.
I wasn't nervous around him. No, I was, but I thought it was kind of ironic that my first job I'd be with this guy.
It is ironic, and he happens to be a very nice guy, Dan, a really good guy, and he was on the show the whole way. Now we're at the airport. Paulie drops Gigi off.
Gigi is played by John Fiore, who's actually from Boston. Is that right?
Yeah, he's from Boston. Yeah, he's from Boston. He's done a lot of stuff. He was in Law and Order for years, and then Patriots Day, and he's done a whole lot of work. He was just in Chappaquiddick. He had a really nice role. Good actor. He sticks around for a few seasons, and they make it look like he just got off the plane from Boston. Paulie throws him a small suitcase. Don't lose it. It's one of my favorites. He gets in the car with Philly. How's Boston? It's like Scranton with clams. He throws a little zinger. I love Boston. Do you like Boston?
I do, yeah.
We were up there a few times. We had a lot of good fun up there.
We had some appearances up there.
Yeah,
some events, charity events. Another well-executed plan here by the Soprano family. A hit. It's just like very well done, very thought out, orchestrated and executed.
Well, they bring the guy in from out of town. Philly picks him up like he just got off the plane, and he starts bad rapping Tony Soprano. He starts telling him about it's all true what he's saying. He's
saying that he's crazy. But do you notice though this hit is very reminiscent and is an homage to The Godfather in a way. His Patsy's wife, or is it Philly or Patsy? Philly's wife says, "Don't forget the pastries." So we're talking about Clemenza's hit on Paulie in The Godfather in the car, and this hit happens in the car as well. So there's a definite reference to that.
It's a really good scene. Them driving, him pulling up. He shoots
also, what was great also was John Fiore when he gets out of the car and he's dealing with his ear. Very great detail.
Because that's what it would be like, of course.
Fuck yeah. And he's really playing that. It was right on. A really good detail.
It's a good scene. And, he's saying you big mouth fuck before he kills him. And but basically he's just relaying the story. Right. What Philly's saying is true. They may not want to hear it, but it's true, right?
And this is Tony Soprano's way of staying in control of the family.
Absolutely. So he gets the call from Silvio. You see the bridge in the background once again.
Once again, the symbol of death, the bridge between life and death. Tony getting this call about death by the bridge. This has been repeating a lot since the beginning of the show here.
Melfi, we go back to Silvio, lets him know it's done. Melfi talks with a patient in a hotel room. It's a sleazy motel, the same one. It's Terry Winter she's talking to. Terry Winter, and I'll tell you a story about this. Terry Winter is a fantastic writer. He was nominated for an Oscar. He's gonna be a guest coming up on our show.
Wrote a lot of the Sopranos episodes.
A lot of Sopranos. He created Boardwalk Empire, created Vinyl. Nominated for an Oscar for Wolf of Wall Street. Terrific guy. He's from Brooklyn. Was an attorney. Didn't like being an attorney. He's got a hell of a story, and he'll tell us about it, but wanted to get into television writing. He worked his way up to The Sopranos. But when I auditioned for the show, there was, 100 people in the hallway at Silver Cup. It was a long hallway. And I just happened to, I walked in, there was so many people with chairs lined up in the skinny hallway, and I said to a guy, I went, hey, where's the sign-in sheet? Because, when you go in to audition, as you know, you got to sign in and put your agent's name and, what time your appointment was. Kind of like a doctor's office, right? And the guy that I talked to happened to be Terry Winter. I didn't know him from Adam.
Wow. Was he auditioning? Oh, no.
He was waiting in the hallway. That's where I'm getting to. So he was waiting in the hallway. I said, hey, where do you sign in? He said, down there. I went all the way to the end, signed in, sat in my chair, working on the stuff. There's all kinds of people around, guys, girls. It was at the beginning of season 2. Now, when I go in to read, I'm looking around. There's about 15 people in the room. The guy that I asked, where's the sign-in sheet, which turned out to be Terry Winter, is in the room.
He was a producer-writer by then.
I didn't know that. I'm going, what do? You audition and then they let you stay here? I had no idea.
You didn't know what was going on.
I didn't know what was going on. I said, well, what the fuck is this? So, what, after you audition, you stay and you judge the other people? I mean, I didn't know. But he was auditioning for this. He had to audition for this role, and he played the patient in Murphy's office, did a great job.
Wait, he had to audition for the role even though he was already on the staff as a writer?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Wow. He also did stand-up, right, at one time?
He did stand-up at one time. He wrote for the PJs. I mean, wrote for a show called The Resta, a stand-up comic. I mean, he worked his way to Soprano. A brilliant, brilliant guy. And Terry's great. And she says, the carpets are being done at the old office because he's saying my last therapist, used to work out of his house.
Out of his house, right.
Yeah, she gets the phone call. It's okay to go home now, and she's paranoid. Are you watching me? Blah blah blah. It's Tony Soprano calling from a cell phone, a pay phone. You could go back now. It's all over, and she's frantic.
And he has been watching her, obviously.
And Lorraine's very good in this episode also. Lorraine Bracco, exceptionally good. The trading office, Christopher's nodding off at his desk. Adriana.
Yeah, Christopher's not into this job at all.
No.
It's not his wheelhouse, this whole being
I don't think is any job Christopher's job.
Showbiz, I guess. No, he likes the day-to-day mob stuff. This is not for him. But Adriana's proud of him. She thinks this is, says, a step up.
EF, I'm listening. Like EF, that's a homage to EF Hutton because remember that commercial?
That was it, right?
EF Hutton, right? She says, let's go down to the shore. You're the boss. You tell Matthew, who's played by Lilo Brancato, that, I'm going, I got an appointment, blah, 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 blah. And Sean says, I got you covered. He's in charge now.
Right. And Lilo was in that pilot that Edie and I did that we spoke about called Firehouse. Lilo was a fireman in that. And, of course, everyone knows him from Bronxtown. Which he grew up in the town next to mine. Him and my brother were friends as teenagers and hung out a lot right around when he got that.
He's a good actor.
Discovered on Jones Beach,
by
the casting people of Bronx Tale. It's like one of those Hollywood, one in a million.
He worked a lot. Yeah.
And Chris Tardio plays. It's Matt and Sean. Chris was in the movie that I directed that you starred in, The Hungry Ghosts.
And a good guy and a good actor,
too. Yeah.
He's done a lot of good stuff. And then, so they overhear one of the, after Chris leaves, they overhear one of the stockbrokers kind of pushing other stocks, mutual funds, acting like a real stockbroker, not pushing wobistics. And they just work him over, man. They pour hot coffee on his neck. I mean, and they give him a beating and kind of send a message to the office. We're pushing wobistics. That's it. You better do it. And that's played by Kevin Sussman, who has had a great career. And he was either a series regular or certainly did almost 100 episodes of The Big Bang Theory. And he's it's a good scene. I mean, he pours that hot coffee right on the back of his neck. I mean, Jesus Christ,
Is he related to our producer, exec producer Jeff Sussman?
I don't know, Jeff. Do you have an illegitimate son? Maybe he's got one running around from the old days.
He's not. No relation. This is based on real stuff that the mob was doing in stocks, though. This is
pump and dump.
All this, boiler room stuff is based on real New York mob stuff, by the way.
So they're pushing this Wabistics. Christopher doesn't know really what's going on. He's getting deeper into his drug use.
And he's bored with this shit. It's not. It's one thing to be at the Bada Bing and being on the street and making collections, or dealing with, at the pork store, being in on meetings and discussions. But this, being in an office and and stocks, it's just not. It's not glamorous enough for him, I don't think.
And he's got two wild men working for him. These two kids are
Cowboys.
They are absolutely. Okay, we're back at the Bada Bing. Tony's working at the desk. Mink and Hesh come in. Neil Mink, Tony's attorney, who's played by the great David Margulies.
He passed away a few years ago.
Yeah, good guy, great actor. Did a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, he was in Ace Ventura, Ghostbusters, Madoff. A big Broadway guy also. I liked him very much. I used to talk to him whenever I saw him. I liked him. He was a good guy. Really good New York character actor.
Yeah.
And him and Hesh arrive. He thanks Tony for the tip on Wabistics. He sold his Disney stock. Which makes these little things like that. That's what makes the show so great. It's not just thanks for the stock tip. It's I sold my Disney stock to buy Wabistics.
The specificity.
Absolutely.
And detail. Yeah.
That is what separates The Sopranos from just about every other show.
Yeah, nothing is ever arbitrary or generic or just, everything's specific.
Not on the nose, Yes. Gets the phone call from Carmela. Your sister's here. Janice, he asked, Barbara or Janice. Tony Soprano has two sisters. Barbara, who was a younger sister, and Janice, who was the older sister. Tony's the middle.
She says, Carmela says, Barbara's coming down from Brewster. Barbara and Tom are coming with the kids from Brewster. I lived in Brewster when I was in high school. I went to high school there. That's in New York, about 50 miles outside the city, north of the city.
What is that like?
It's kind of when I lived there, it was a rural suburb, still a lot of reservoirs and even stuff up, it was
in the country.
A lot of it. It's kind of the country, yeah.
That's that girl. That's the only thing I know about.
She
Bruce.
came down from Bruce, so you could take the train.
Marlo Thomas. Marlo Thomas.
That's right. Yeah.
That's showing my age there.
So Barbara's the younger sister, and
yes.
Janice is the older sister. Janice has been gone for many years. She left. She was in a commune. She's taken an Indian name, Parvati, which is the goddess of love and fertility, and she went through all these phases as a hippie and a Hindu or whatever she's been doing.
And he says we'll make a family reunion out of it. No Livia, of course. And he tells Hesh and Mink, Mink kind of warns him, your uncle's trying to get out on a medical leave, and he may stay away. Let's not do anything with the RICO case, Don't do anything silly here, And Tony says the only way to run a family is from a bunker through a slot or a slip or whatever, you got to stay hidden. We're at the Bada Bing.
And Hesh says that Yiddish word, mamzers, which is, he mumbles it almost, and which means bastards in Yiddish, actually. Referring to the feds, I guess.
I didn't catch that. Yeah. Silvio arrives. He gives, the guys are at the back of the Bada Bing. Silvio arrives. He hugs Pussy. Gigi is there. Paulie is there. Ray Curto is there. What's his name again? Lauros.
George Lauros plays Raymond Curto, yeah.
Ray Curto. Silvio's doing his Godfather impression, and he pinches Big Pussy's cheeks, and he's doing, the Pacino stuff, Michael Corleone, and the guys are having a big laugh, breaking balls, and he says, Jimmy Altieri was the rat, which, of course, Big Pussy already knows that.
But what's important is they're saying that, your money's, we took care of your money, but we took some of your money. So basically, they're not giving him, they're going to give him this much, basically, if that.
These guys don't care who you are, what you are, childhood friends, family. They robbed him. Yeah, they made a collection. They're going to give you a little piece, but a real small percentage. You could bet they took the chunk of it. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And he thanks them, and he realizes it, and they toast, and it's like everything's. They all want to believe he's not a rat. They
Right.
want to believe that everything is back to normal. He wants to talk to Paulie. He asked Paulie, did things check out? Paulie said everything was fine. It checked out in Puerto Rico.
And Silvio says, from The Godfather, our true enemy has yet to reveal itself, which is also very, a portent of coming evil. Is it Janice? Is it Pussy? Is it Livia? It's a great line just to put in there.
It's all of the above.
Right. It's all
So-
of the above.
Soprano Kitchen, Carmela's cooking. You see her cook numerous times in this episode. The kids are in the kitchen. Tony comes down. You look good. You look like a teenager.
Janice is now in the house, and we immediately hear about the scams. She's on total disability for the Epstein Barr, and now it's carpal tunnel. She scams the system. She's one of those people who works the system to their advantage.
And she says from the milk, the steam milk machine. So obviously she was probably working at like a Starbucks, something on that. She hurt herself. She collects.
Seattle is where Starbucks is from.
That's right. She's called Pavati now. She's given the baloney. Well, Tony had said she could stay. Let her stay at the house. So she's staying at the house. She's already causing problems. She said her pillow was stolen in Grand Rapids at the bus station. What's ergonomics? What does that mean?
I think it has to do with correct positioning of the spine or the body in a way. She needs a pillow. He says later on it's a $300 pillow we're going to have to pay for.
Yeah.
But she's immediately, at first she's like, oh, it's so happy to be here, and then immediately there's complaint. She's Livia. She's another Livia. I mean,
She is full of shit. She is. She plays it great. Aida Totoro.
Fantastic.
Just
She's
great.
so good and just perfect. They had worked together before, Jim Gandolfini and Aida on Broadway, Streetcar Named Desire with Alec Baldwin. They were in that together. They also did that movie Angie with Gina Davis. So they already
Yeah, they were friends. Yeah,
they acted a lot in the play. I think they played Eunice and Mitch, so they had scenes together in the play.
They were. She's terrific, but you can see she's just evil. She says, I was up late. What time did you get in?" She's already causing problems. He goes to give Carmela a kiss. She pulls away. She's already starting with the shit. Already, this is almost immediately.
Immediately, a great introduction to a character, I must say, too.
She's
everything she is there right from the beginning. We just see it and we know it right away.
You know what she is from this episode, and the worst is yet to come. Right? They're in the backyard. He goes in the back. He asks her for a puff of a cigarette. I don't think Aida smoked in real life, and you could always tell. I always look at that. You could tell a real smoker from not a real. Like I could never smoke a cigarette. I've never smoked one in my life. I wouldn't
You've
even.
never smoked anything, right?
No. A cigar, I could fake that, which I do in the show, but I'm not a cigar guy either. But when someone's not a smoker, you almost could always tell. But
they always hold it too high, too close to the tip by the mouth. That's one indication. And yeah, it's always a giveaway. She didn't smoke, I guess. Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't know. I never saw her smoke, so I don't know. She's been away 20 years, Janice. She says she needs a few bucks. When she tells him, he tells her that the house, she can't stay at the house because it's up for sale. Now, I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm sure I am, didn't he sell the house in season 1? Doesn't he go to Green Grove and tell the lady at the retirement place, I want to let her know we sold the house?
I think so. Maybe this deal fell through.
Obviously, it fell through.
But another great detail when she says, "Was that guy Adolf?" and she says, "No, Ralph." Oh, he went back to Andorra, which is such a, very a country that's very rarely spoken of in general.
Another reference I thought to The Godfather. She says, "She needs me now. I'm gonna take care of her."
Ah, right.
Like Talia Shear's character says about Michael Corleone. You need me now. I'm going to take care of you.
You need me now, Michael. That's right.
And she needs a couple of $100, and she's going to take her back to Seattle. She's going to nurse her back to health. Blah blah blah. This is what she's saying. Tony gives her $700. I counted the money. It was 7 $100 bills. Which is, she needs to fix the car, whatever bullshit.
And he knows that's just the beginning of
yes.
a steady stream of financial requests. And they end that scene on the shot of the pool vacuum.
What does that mean?
I think it's like a snake.
Ah, okay.
No? I mean, that's the first thing I thought of.
I wasn't sure. The pool sweeper, it's very prominent. It certainly means something. Another question for David.
Snake?
I guess. Yeah. A sweeper? A cleaner, a sweeper.
She's going to clean him out, basically.
Yeah,
that's what she's trying to do.
Now, earlier at the Bada Bing, when Silvio comes in to see Pussy, he gives Tony the bad news that Chris's two flunkies, stockbrokers, they beat up a stockbroker and they stole a Porsche from their own building.
Yes, and the song playing in that scene was Not Off by Skeleton Key. Not Off, obviously a reference to Christopher's drug use there.
Get them under control. Direct orders to get these two guys under control. We're back at the stockbroker's office.
Well, first we go to Olivia's house, and it's been vandalized. Right. Yeah, and the house has been vandalized. The realtor is saying, I can't sell the house in this condition. It's been vandalized by teenagers who broke windows, got in the house, and just, fucked things up.
Tony's livid. They wind up getting into an argument, the two of them. Somebody turned the water on upstairs. They destroyed Olivia's bedroom. I knew right off the bat it's Janice. I already knew that.
That she did it so they can't sell the house.
I believe it's Janice. That's what I knew right there.
Until she figures out a way that she's going to make the money. And there's also a metaphor there, that the ancestral home, the family home where they all grew up is, it's rotting from the inside. It's, degraded and destroyed and all that stuff. And I'll refer to it again in a bit.
Tony thinks it's the high school kids. There's a high school down the block. He thinks it's high school kids. Then, of course, Carmela starts again. It was your idea to, don't make it like it's a chore. She tells him, between all of this, the house is vandalized, all this crap, you got to pick up the sausages. Hot or sweet, he says. Another moment.
Very important.
But this is a moment that doesn't happen in other shows. This is one of those things. A small detail, not by accident. She says, our parents are coming. Don't make this a chore. It was your idea to have this party. Oh, he says, he sticks up for Olivia for a second. Oh, they're coming because the dragon lady's not going to be there. And then he corrects himself. I'm not sticking up for her, but he was sticking up for her.
But he was sticking up for her.
And she wants him to go back to therapy. They don't have sex. She's starting to get into that. He cuts her off. No therapy. He's against it. That's that.
Yeah, and do we ever prove that it's Janice that did this to the house? Does that come back? But it's just pretty clear that's something.
I think so. We'll talk about it later on, but that's my opinion. I don't know, but
makes a lot of sense. Or she might have paid somebody a couple of bucks. Yeah,
it could be, but it could very well have happened. But
with Tony's money that he gave her.
Yeah, but when he told her that you can't stay at the house, it's for sale. There's a hesitation, a look on her face. What do you mean? Well, what? I didn't know anything about it. I want to stay at the house, but right off the bat.
And
right?
She's thinking, of course, of the money.
Now we're at the stockbroker office, right? Chris apologizes to the manager. The two guys are looking on. They explained the pump and dump situation, senior citizen.
Christopher doesn't give a shit.
And he's faking it. Christopher doesn't know what he's talking about. The NFL Well, you bleed a guy suavely. He knows nothing about this.
He's not interested at all. He doesn't want to know. He's mailing this in. It's just not.
He's saying when
he's bored. He's bored with it too.
And Biscuits is at 80. When do we sell? You'll know when you know. Or Chris doesn't know what he's talking about.
Not a clue.
No idea. All right. And then, of course, the mob thing comes out. And the next time you're going to steal a car, 2 towns over, and I get a piece. So he didn't listen to Tony and tell them not to steal a car. Just said, if you're going to do it, 2 towns over, and he wants his end. That mob thing is in this blood. It's in there. That's it. Now we're back at the hospital.
The hospital. Meadow going to visit Livia. Trying to find out what went on between you and Dad. Very interesting scene. It's interesting to see what's coming out between the Meadow's attitude towards Livia, the way Livia's treating her, giving her a thing. Is she trying to win Meadow over to her side?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She's manipulating. Absolutely. She's telling Meadow, her granddaughter, that they hit her. They hit her. They don't hit her in there. They don't. They're saying they hit us. And she hears the voices, and she saw the light, and they can't. And Meadow says they can't make me. Well, we're going to get you out of here. We're not going to leave you here, and they can't make us stop. And can't make me stop seeing you. She's completely manipulated. Then gives her mother's ring, Livia's mother's ring. She gives to Meadow. She's completely wanting to get Meadow on her side. Wants sympathy. Listen to your father, she says. Back and forth. She's brilliant. Livia, in her sick, evil way, is a brilliant woman.
Yeah. And so is Janice in her own way, too.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And you see throughout the series who she chooses to be involved with, including our beloved Bobby Bacala, who's coming very soon to our shores. Very good scene, though. Really well acted scene between the two of them.
Yeah, and Janice comes and leaves, right?
Janice is working some. She's, you see how she's trying to figure out exactly what's going on. She's probably scoping out the nursing home, who's working, who's in charge, how can she manipulate this, how she's going to orchestrate, taking advantage of the situation. She's a real shark, man.
It's a great, great, great character. Tony drives, Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple.
Deep Purple. And the images reflect to that scene in the Soprano house, Livia's house, this vandalized house. He's driving by a lot of vandalized properties and properties that are, collapsing.
Uh-huh.
So that he's carrying those images. It's very effective, because it makes us think back to the house, the destroyed house, his family, how there's like cancerous growths in his family, and then the CD skips.
And then
he loses it. He loses it to the point where he gets into an accident because the CD's skipping. All this rage that's really also being triggered now by Janice being there 100%.
Oh, yeah.
The family stuff, and women being this source of conflict around him with Carmela and the guilt with Carmela, the girlfriend. Should he have a girlfriend? He's cheating on his wife, his mother, his sister, and Melfi, and these female figures that are revolving around him and causing him all this turmoil. Comes to a head right here when his CD doesn't work properly and he just flips out.
I think, and people say, why was it so great? Why do people love it? Why do people love Tony Soprano? Look at the pressure this guy has.
Yeah.
Who wants to live this life? Not me. And I think people relate to that. Right. I mean, he's got problems coming and going. His best friend might be a rat. The indictments are coming. Uncle Junior and his mother tried to have him killed. His crazy, insane sister's coming. The goomah, his wife wants him back in therapy. I mean, this is insanity. Insanity. I mean, why he doesn't get in a car and just keep on going, I have no idea.
What kind of life is that? Yeah, when does he enjoy it? The success at least that he does have, and to some degree, and financial rewards, but doesn't seem like he's enjoy. He loved hearing Silvio do the Al Pacino, imitation. That's like that's like a big source of pleasure in his day, in a way.
Yeah.
It's very
I
kind of
agree.
sad, right?
The therapist's office is a great scene. There's a Dr. D'Alessio. Tony went in anonymous, called himself Mr. Spears, and he's bullshitting the guy, conflict with my mother, profanity, blah, blah, blah. And the doctor comes clean. I know who you are.
Right.
Yeah, I know who you are. And
this scene refers to the title of the episode. Guy walks into a psychiatrist's office, which is the title of it. Was the setup to a joke, right?
He says, I saw analyze this. It's great. Tony goes, really? Analyze this? That was a comedy. Very funny. Laugh out loud funny to make reference to that, And this came, what did they came? I think we talked about that. Which came out first?
I think Sopranos was on first, but for some reason, I'm not really sure. I remember reading the script of Analyze or auditioning for it right around the same time. And there was another movie, I think it was an HBO movie, or it ran on HBO. It didn't go to the theaters, called The Don's Analyst with Robert Loggia, which was terrible. All around the same time, which is why when I first read the pilot of The Sopranos, I wasn't sure if it was another spoof. Don's Analyst was a bad spoof. I mean, Sopranos was good, but I wasn't sure if it was a spoof. Analyze This was released in 1999, right after we were released. So they were being made around the same time.
Yeah, but David had this in the can for years. I mean, for many years.
It was not a ripoff by any means.
But you want to know another thing? I have a friend of mine who is a psychiatrist in Brooklyn in Bensonhurst, and she's been a 40-year psychiatrist, and she told me many a wise guy has come to see her with problems. She didn't tell me who or what or where.
Before The Sopranos? Or?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay, over the years.
Over the years, many a wise guy, that she had been in the neighborhood for years. She's still there.
Yeah.
So,
But you know what I got from that scene, just a little bit, that he does interact with this therapist, and granted, it's the first appointment and it's just the beginning, that Tony probably would not have had success in therapy with a male therapist.
I agree with you there.
Yeah,
absolutely. He don't want to. I mean, because
be vulnerable. Be vulnerable in front of a guy. No,
to another man. Absolutely. So the Soprano house party. Janice arrives. There's a lot of noise, screaming. Barbara comes in. Barb is yelling. Barbara comes in with her husband, who was a really good guy. His name was Tom on the show. His name is Ed Fasalo. He passed away a few years ago.
He did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, a really nice guy. I worked with him quite a bit. I think he did about 10 episodes. Nothing big parts, but he was at the family functions. And Barbara, who was played by
Nicole Burdett.
Yeah,
who was an actress and a writer. She was a playwright with the Naked Angels Company in New York, and one of her plays, Chelsea Walls, was made into a movie directed by Ethan Hawke about the.
And she's very good. She's very
an actress. She had a big part in the movie River Runs Through It. She's a very good actress. She plays the younger sister Barbara. You have Tom Aldridge, who plays Hugh, the father of Carmela. Hugh DeAngelis. Who was an actor on Broadway for many years and in a lot of movies. He originated the role Henry Fonda played in On Golden Pond. He did originate that on Broadway. He actually saw Brando in Streetcar, and that inspired him to want to become an actor.
Oh, wow. Sweet guy, right? Sweet guy.
Sweet guy. Was married to Theone Aldrich, who was probably the most honored Broadway costume designer in history. She did... Chorus Line, Annie. She did Dreamgirls. She won Tonys. She did the movie Great Gatsby, the original one with Robert Redford. She was a Broadway giant, legend, and the two of them worked in Broadway.
I liked him very much.
I loved writing for him. The last episode I wrote for The Sopranos, Marco Polo. He has it's his birthday celebration, and I loved writing for that character. He was a wonderful guy.
Well, great
He
guy. I
passed
used
away.
to
I
talk
miss
to
him
him
a lot.
all
I
the
loved
time.
him.
And Suzanne Shepard, who plays
Yes.
Carmela's mother, who was Lorraine Bracco's mother in Goodfellas, Edie Falco's mother in The Sopranos, and she plays my mother on Blue Bloods.
On Blue
So
Bloods.
she's great. Suzanne Shepard's a lot of fun.
And an acting teacher as well.
Yeah, she's great. Just great. And Barbara was played by two different characters. Danielle DeVecchio, she did 10 episodes. Nicole did 5, but for whatever reason, maybe she wasn't available. And
Who was first?
Nicole. Nicole played
really?
Barbara in this episode, and then Danielle DeVecchio did 10 episodes, and she comes on as Barbara. A little known fact that people may not have noticed there. So a lot of yelling. Barbara comes in with the family. Of course, she's always snarky. Suzanne Shepard married DeAngelis. That's Carmela's mother. Now she's named after a cheese, Pavati. And Carmela says, no, a Hindu goddess.
And they hated Livia. They
Yes.
felt Livia was, and they bring up a line that really cuts. I mean, they say Suzanne Shepard's character says a line that really cuts Edie's character.
Oh, yeah.
Livia said Tony would get bored with Carmela.
And that lands a blow. That really hits her hard there because of what's going on, the whole thing.
Especially now.
She says, don't forget what she said. Your wedding night earlier at the house, Carmela had told Tony, your mother has said some horrible things to my parents. So the parents moved away, another part of Jersey, so they're not close to her. Livia was very toxic, obviously. And she sends you out. He's smoking a cigarette and having a drink. She gives him a dirty look. He puts the cigarette out in the sink, and then he sends her out for pears. Sends you out for pears for the cake she's making. Her secret is canned pears.
Not fresh, right?
And he says, the dole, like dole pineapple, dole pears. She said, I'm not going to even answer that.
Not.
Again, amazing little bits that are real life. That's what happens, And she says Tony would get bored of you. It hits home.
And neither of them are Italian in real life.
Neither one of them are Italian. They're great.
Which is I think also very deliberate because they wanted to just have Carmela's family be very different from the other world that we've seen with all these wise guys. And, there's a definite delineation they're making there.
Well, even in Goodfellas, she played a Jewish mother. Because remember, Lorraine Bracco's character was Jewish back then. That was the whole thing.
Oh, right.
So we're in the Soprano backyard, right?
Janice exhibiting the splitting behavior that we know Livia was prone to, right?
It's a really good scene, right?
Oh, yeah. Very well-written scene. Some family reunion. The woman who birthed them all is barred from the premises. She goes right for the splitting. She's trying to get Barbara on her side.
Correct.
Tony's evil. Tony's bad. He put Mom away. Totally ignoring the fact that she's been gone for years and Tony's had to, take care of her, get her out of the house, get her into a nice place to live, pay for it.
And she says to let Tony handle it. Don't get involved here. Just let Tony handle everything. She's saying they're selling the house for $180,000. She's saying like he needs the money. And then she makes the remark, well, Mom's not dead yet. So I took it as meaning she could manipulate her with the will. Who's going to get the house? I don't know if that comes up later on. And it's a really good scene between Barbara and Janice. And then Tony, of course, they're looking at Tony and they're saying he reminds us of Dad. And she's, you know what I mean? And Janice has got nothing but nasty things to say. When they're around the barbecue, she says they belong on a split.
Spit.
A spit.
Yeah.
And then she's going to leave, Janice. She's
going to Chelsea to an art opening because the people there might finance her video, which, I mean,
It's all bullshit. Everything's bullshit with her.
Amazing.
Everything's a con. It's bullshit.
What video is she doing?
I have no idea. I don't think that ever comes up. See, and Barbara warns her, like, kind of, hey, don't get too close. Just let Tony handle it. You'll get your piece. Everything will be fine. You'll get your cut of the house. And, she wants it all because she's an evil.
Yeah, that's not enough. Her cut is not enough. No.
It's amazing, but she's evil. Tony's a murderer. He's got a good heart, but he's a flat-out murderer.
And the mother's also a murderer in some
What a
ways.
family. I thought my family was fucked up. And so Tony's throwing out the garbage, and he sees that the real estate sign is in Janice's car. Because she leaves. She gets into an SUV. A guy picks her up.
It's not Janice's car. It's Livia's car.
Livia's car.
Is gonna, yeah.
And Tony sees. That's when I really knew that it was her who did the damage.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
All right. And he goes crazy and he's arguing. Of course, Carmela's trying to be the sense of reason. You're getting too angry. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. She's trying to help him. Maybe it's not what you think it is, and he's livid. She's saying, go outside, talk to everyone, have a beer, relax, calm down. You need to get back into therapy. Look how angry you are. And he's going, I'm not angry. He is beyond angry. His head's going to explode here.
Beyond angry, and then he gets really nasty to Pussy.
Calls him a fucking moron.
Yeah, they very, very angry, almost like way out of context. The anger. It's very disturbing, actually, and uncomfortable to watch.
Well, they're all sitting around. They're all standing around barbecuing, having a beer, bullshitting. It's a party, man. He calls him a fucking moron. It's very tense. Everyone stops. Pussy breaks the ice by telling a joke about his wife. Gets everyone to laugh, including Tony, to calm down. But then Tony continues to stare at him, and it's kind of slow motion. And they look at each other.
It's a great shot. Yeah, it's really cool.
I took it as Tony knows he's a rat right there.
Tony knows, and it almost looks like maybe Pussy knows that Tony knows.
Yeah. That's
what also a song playing in that scene, the Eurythmics. I've tried everything, and some of the lines from the song lyrics. Don't look at me now. Don't even start, because I've tried everything. You're a loser now. It's just, very pointed choice.
The guys are around. They're breaking balls. They're laughing. They're talking about frequent flyer miles and Silvio and
they bring up the Rockette who put LSD in Silvio's drink. What was that scene like? Silvio tripping on LSD with a Rockette, and what happened there?
And they call it cracking. I want somebody needs to get into the system. Hesh says
the computer system, yeah.
And it's cracking. And Tony says,
those,
no,
crackers, no hackers.
He's saying it's hacking, and then that the hacking becomes Shelley Hack from Charlie's Angels,
right?
And from what was it? From the Perfume, Charlie, right?
Charlie, they start singing the song Charlie.
That's from the 70s. Charlie, and they start
70s.
singing, and Paulie grabs his cock, and he's going Shelley Hack, so it's just typical. That's what guys do. Having a barbecue, one thing leads to other. You bullshit and you're laughing. Tony comes in, and I think he now knows. It's solidified. I'm taking it. He knows Pussy is a rat.
He knows in the back of his head. So there's danger here. There's Janice there trying to undermine him and take advantage. So this family barbecue is wrought with,
and it's
angst.
The party's for her. She leaves early. Carmela had walked around. We got the nice pear cake. I'll save you some. We've got this. We've got that. She's leaving. She's leaving her own party. I mean, insult on top of insult. All right. And then when Carmela walks her out, when she comes back in, her mother gives her a look like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Nothing is said. It's a great moment. Nothing is said. Great look by Carmela. Great look by her mom. I told you, and it's like I know.
Mercenary. She's a mercenary.
They're in the bar. Christopher, Adriana, Matt, and Sean. They're having drinks.
Great song. That's a song "Guilty" by Alejandro Escovedo, who's from Austin, punk musician in the band The Nuns, and then like roots rock, True Believers, and Rank and File. He has a great song called Chelsea Hotel 78 that I saw him perform last year at a concert in New York with Jesse Malin. Great musician. Uncle of Sheila E.
Oh, yeah?
Sheila, yeah. But Alejandro's...
Or Tito Puente. Sheila E., right? Also, have you been to Austin?
I love Austin, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've been to Austin. I was there once.
town.
I like it very much. My wife's uncle has a great place, if you're in Austin, great Mexican restaurant, breakfast place, famous, called Cisco's, downtown in East Austin. Been there forever. A lot of celebrities. President Johnson used to go there, blah, blah, blah. It's still there now. It's a terrific place called Cisco's. And, okay, so Tony, they're talking. Sean and Matthew are idiots. They're real wannabe wise guys. And
They want to be with Tony. They want to meet Tony. And
they'll kill people. Has Tony ever talked about us? We'll do anything. We'll wash his car. We'll do whatever we got to do. We'll kill. We'll do. Da, da, da. And it's very tense. Adriana is pissed because Christopher left the gas burner on. She could have killed herself if she lit a match. And she says, well, they don't care. They'll still kiss your ass if you're a junkie. And Chris gives her a backhand.
And also that they're having trouble sexually, like Tony and Carmela in a way, because of the drug use is getting it. I mean, it's already a big problem for him. And actually, through this episode, you really see the effects. He's like not really present at all in a lot of the scenes. He's like half there, really. And
she slaps him back. She slaps him back also.
Yeah, this is very tense. Very.
And you call her a fucking whore, and then, go home and make my dinner. You're trying to save face with the two guys. Christopher was trying to save face, correct? When you say, go home and make my dinner.
Face. And it's very uncomfortable, this scene.
Did you take any flack from smacking her? Like the people in real life go, hey, you're smacking a woman. It's not the first.
No, I didn't get slack. I got slack for sitting on the dog.
But not for killing other people or smacking you, but for killing the dog. And then I like, later on we'll see, there's a great scene when you push her mother, which that'll come up. They're in the diner. This is a great scene. Melfi's sitting in the diner alone. Tony walks in. He's pleading with her to still continue to see him as a psychiatrist.
He needs it. He feels like it made his life better, made it easier to cope with all these stresses like that you brought up, that he needs this.
He takes the knife away from her. He's pleading, can you recommend someone else? She says, fuck you. This is a great scene. Then she also says, how many more people have to die for your personal growth?
And Tony takes that in because we've spoken about this before and it'll come up again and again. He does think about, is he this toxic person? Do people suffer because of him? People in his orbit, do they die? Is it because of him? And is it related to Livia? And he takes that in here. You see it. And it's not easy for him. Yeah, without a doubt.
It's a really good scene between Jim and Lorraine Bracco, and it's really, really good. But I love that line. One of my favorite lines. How many more people have to die for your personal growth? And then when he goes outside the diner, he's staring. And I think he's just thinking all of that, what we talked about, I guess.
Yeah.
About is he a toxic person? Not even a therapist will help me,
And you see that in this next scene when he goes home to the house. Like, that's on his mind. And he walks in the house. It's the middle of the afternoon, and it's like he's a stranger in his own house. She's not. He's very rarely home at that hour. He kind of doesn't know what happens in the house around this time. You know, he doesn't really. He looks like so uncomfortable being there, like he almost
Very
like a
awkward.
stranger in his own house. And I think he's carrying over that moment outside the diner, and looking at his life and wondering, you know, what have I done? What have I created in this life? What's left between us? And this scene with him and with Tony and Carmela is all happens in real time. If you notice, there are a few cuts within the scene, but they're not.
Yeah.
There's no leaps in time. It's almost 3 minutes, and it's just very simple domestic life between this, going on in the house with this husband and wife. Not a lot said. She asks him if he's hungry. She gets him some pasta. I think at this moment he really needs her as a ground beneath him. You know what I mean? I think at this moment he really appreciates her feeding him and her being, a wife to him.
I think you're right. I mean, I guess we've all had these moments where you just got to get back to your wife, or it's almost like you're calling out for your mother. You know what I mean? There's things that go wrong in your life, and you go, man, I just want to be here. I just want to be home. Want to be with my kids. I want to be with my wife. I just want to be there. I got to get away from all this, and it's very awkward. She rubs his back. She takes care of him, as she always has.
He asks her to sit down. He wants her next to him. He doesn't want to just eat alone.
She rubs his back. It's a great scene. Sits at the table. She sits with him. She goes through the mail. There's not much said between them. It's just kind of.
No.
He just wants to be there. He just wants to be with her. He doesn't want to have sex. He doesn't want to hug her. He just wants to be with her in his home where he's safe. That's what I gather.
Yeah, and it's also in many ways it's a strong moment for Carmela's character, and it's that point is made by the song. Time Is on My Side, which not written by the Stones, but made famous by the Rolling Stones. But this recording is by Irma Thomas, so it's sung by a woman's voice, and the lyrics, you're searching for good times, but just wait and see, you'll come running back to me. Go ahead, baby, light up the town, do anything your heart chooses, but remember, I'll always be around, and I know, like I told you so many times before, you're going to come back.
Why don't you sing it to me? Sing it to me. Come on.
You don't want that.
Come on.
But
they'd love to hear you sing.
I'm not going to sing it. Listen to the recording. But, I mean, it's almost like it's Carmela speaking those words, subconsciously saying, I'm the one you're going to, you got screwing your whore, but I'm the one you're going to come back to. It's a strong moment for that character ending this episode here. It's like she's the island for him, of
Oh,
safety,
for sure.
comfort. And that song really brings it home.
Really good episode. It's a really good episode. This last scene was great. She asked if he's all right. She thought it was AJ. Really good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Really good. This was a good
beautiful-
episode. Really, I
Beautiful
really
moment
enjoyed it.
between them.
I really enjoyed this. All right, what do we got?
But no, I never, ever drank or got high before scenes like this, to create the effect of heroin. It was all, when it was a lot of fun to play, I did a lot of research about the effects and what, I've seen the effects in the real world among people I know and other areas of life. But it's the kind of thing you need even more control over yourself to act, because it's a very specific physicality and mental state. So you have to almost even be even more sober to really portray it properly, because the idea of like you play the scene drunk, really get drunk before the scene, you may shoot this scene 4 or 5 hours. Who the hell knows? You have to have your wits about you to shoot stuff.
Oh, for sure.
So, no. To answer your question, Joe, never would use some kind of mind-altering thing in order to play an altered mind.
I also don't think anyone could perform better high or drunk. I don't buy that for 1 second.
No,
You know,
nor do I.
and I know people who do that and have done that, and I don't believe that to be the case. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you know. And you can learn more at Bose.com. All right, man, it was good.
Great.
It was a good episode. Thanks for listening. And remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and like us on Facebook.
Our executive producer is Jeff Sussman. Producer is Andy Verderam. Our music was composed and performed by Elijah Amerton. You can hear more of Elijah's music by clicking the link on TalkingSopranos.com. Our production crew includes Eric Desi, Bobby Hutch, Frank McKay, Ty Verderam, and Ciara Schirripa. Talking Sopranos is a Pod Jams production.
All right, man, it was good.
Great.
It was a good episode, and I hope all is well, and I'll see you next week.
All right, buddy.